Hey guys, Julie here, and in this video, we were, or I was, supposed to paint over some artwork that I sketched earlier today, but my heart's just not in it because if you can't tell by my horrific voice, I am sick. I'm sick, it's hard to keep my eyes open, it's hard to talk, it's hard to breathe. So I decided I'm just going to paint over one of these gouache coloring pages. This is from the coloring book that I brought back with me from South Korea, and it's the one on super thick paper, so it's perfect for gouache, and this is actually by a gouache artist. I filmed a video on all of the art supplies I brought back with me after I lived in Korea for a couple years and came home, so this was one of the things I brought back, and I am super excited to dive right in. I don't know if I'll be able to post this video up tomorrow. I was supposed to spend the whole day working on it, but you know, that was kind of a bust. So we're gonna use this Artix. Of course, you could hear paprika. Please be quiet. I can't deal with this right now. You know what? We're just gonna paint, guys. We're just gonna paint because I can't. Okay, I will leave the rest of this video to the voiceover that I recorded when I was feeling a lot better. So, bye guys.
Looking for work is a miserable time. I won't sugarcoat it. It really has a way of making you question your self-worth and your confidence in your skills and abilities. It doesn't take long to realize that your degree in whatever arts or humanities related field is utterly useless. That experience is key, and you have experience in many fields and positions, but your unique blend of skills is just not quite what anyone's looking for.
You know, I will say, while I appreciate... Paprika, please. Just be quiet. 1 minute. Give me 1 minute, please. So I will say, while I do appreciate that the line art covers the entire... This is a train wreck. While I do appreciate that the line art fills the entire page, I do actually prefer painting a smaller piece. I like that it's framed around light, so that's why I'm putting the washi tape here. I'm so sorry, guys. Yeah, this is gonna be a super low budget video. You'll see the difference, maybe. I don't know. I'm tired, but you know, I'll still put effort into editing. But I'm cutting it a bit close, and I'm sick, and these birds are giving me a headache, so, you know, this video might not be as high quality as what you're used to. Not that, you know, honestly, I don't know if you'd be able to even tell the difference. We'll see. You let me know. You let me know if this video is lacking, but like, don't be mean about it, please, because I can't take it right now.
You condense yourself, a living, breathing person, onto a piece of paper with a pretty heading and bullet points that start with the words utilized, coordinated, and administered, and send this paper into the abyss, knowing in the back of your mind that AI software will assess your value as a person before an actual person does, if you make it past that initial cold mechanic stage. You send it off multiple times over, then you wait, and wait, and wait, until finally you receive a call. This is it. It's your moment. Someone out there saw something in you and decided to give you a shot. But the second they introduce themselves, you're shaking. It's been a while since you've had someone who carries your future in the palm of their hand interrogate you about your experience and motivation. You practiced for hours, but you're still a little rusty. Your voice gets caught, your hands shake. You do your best to stay present and grounded, but it's not working. Oh God, stop shaking. Pull it together. Ugh, you said too many times. Girl, stop rambling. You're talking too much. Stop talking. Shut up. Shut up. And then, once the call is over, you wait. And wait. And wait. And despite spending nearly an hour of your time with this person who carries that opportunity, they just vanish, never to be heard from again. Not even to tell you that, no, you are not good enough for that future. So you go back to that piece of paper that represents how you're a great worker, an excellent colleague, a wonderful leader, an outstanding daughter, mother, friend, stranger, and everything in between. And you put yourself out there again. And again. And again. You put yourself out there for what feels like the world to judge and poke and prod you. And you hear nothing. You begin to wonder if your standards are too high. The ones you promised yourself you wouldn't compromise on at the beginning of this emotional roller coaster. So you expand your range, dropping your salary expectations by a sixth, and then a fourth. Looking for work you vowed you'd never go back to. Work below what you know you're capable of and in a completely different direction to where you set out to move. You begin to contemplate the what-ifs of life, the regrets. Where would I be if I had studied computer science or biology or education? What if I stayed at X company for longer? What would have happened if I fought harder to move up internally? Perhaps I should have never taken time off to travel. Maybe I should have worked harder at X company, the one that made me feel kind of worthless. This is your own fault. You chose to leave, and it's rendered you useless. Finding work is all-consuming. It's a seemingly never-ending cycle of searching and refreshing and sending and waiting. Lather, rinse, hope, repeat. It comes with many fears. Fears of the unknown, fears of being in this place for months and months and months, fears of your emotional state dipping too low, fears of being judged by friends and family for your current employment status. The job hunt has a way of completely destroying your sense of self, especially if it was already fragile to begin with. It has a way of pulling you into a gray place, of making you forget that you're more than what you can contribute to the economy. It sucks the joy out of you, the drive, and the creativity. Okay, I am done waxing poetics. I wasn't planning to include this in a video. I was just feeling some type of way yesterday, and instead of applying to jobs, which I should have been doing, I journaled, and that's what I came up with. As someone who makes YouTube videos for fun and does art as a hobby, having this extra time on paper sounds great, but when I'm so consumed in this whole unemployed state, it's just gotten really hard for me to just sit down and draw or paint something. I will say though, getting those words out on paper really helped. I feel a lot lighter now, just venting. So that's why I decided to record this. My channel is all about creating art as an amateur artist. And sometimes you're just not in the emotional state to create. When you're an amateur, I guess I shouldn't speak for everyone, but I practice when I feel up for it. Art is not my career. It's not something I've been doing ever since I was young, so it's not like second nature to me. It's not something I do to relax. It's actually the opposite. Creating art takes a lot of focus and energy, and right now, it's just hard to give that to my art. But I want to commit to posting weekly videos, so here we are. Creativity comes and goes in waves, and I think it's easy to write someone off as just not being motivated enough or being lazy, which I will admit I do get lazy with my art practice, but that's because I have other things going on in my life and I'm just not willing to make that extra time. I just want to be realistic in what it's like to be an amateur artist. Since art wasn't instilled in me as a kid, I very much learned when I was in my adult years. It's not something I do to unwind or relax. I really have to focus when I'm creating an art piece, and I have to put a lot of time and energy into my work and also deal with that extra level of frustration, knowing that it'll take a while to get that initial sketch down because I'm just not very good. And I'm not saying that to be mean to myself. I'm an amateur artist. I'm a very proud amateur artist. I know my work is subpar, but I enjoy it, and that's what matters. But right now, my heart just hasn't been in it. When art isn't your job and it was never something that was habitual, you just kind of do it on the side. I feel like anytime I'm feeling down, I just don't have it in me to create. So that's where I stand. It's been really hard for me to film a video because I'm so consumed into this job hunt process, and it really is all consuming. So for context, this is the third time I've been unemployed. My first was right out of uni, which most of us have experienced. I was looking for my first big girl job. At the time, I was managing a seasonal retail store, and that was my job during my last semester of school, and I carried that out until the season ended post-graduation. So after that point, I was looking for a fun office job. It took about 5 months before I could find one, and it was entry level. The pay was crap. I worked there for less than a year. It really was a rude awakening just to step into the workforce and understand truly what it entailed. I think I was naive going into it, but I don't think my naivety was fully to blame because the place I worked at wasn't very good. It was actually pretty terrible for a first experience. Listen, I'm not saying the first company I worked for was a cult. It wasn't, but it did have some low-key cult-like qualities. Being severely cliquey, having people and managers use tactics to make you stick around when you showed signs of wanting to leave, giving you a vague title so your job description entails a little bit of everything, watching your coworkers be bullied and having HR just twiddle their thumbs when you call it out, making you feel grateful when you're thrown a measly little bone, and of course, to top it all off, being paid peanuts to put up with your regular work while walking on eggshells and trying to avoid minefields in the whole social arena that came with a new workplace. I couldn't handle it, so I left. I traveled to see family, I dove into improving my art, and came back a few months later refreshed and ready to start the dreaded job hunt yet again. This time, I knew what to expect. I knew what I wanted. I wanted to find work in a front-facing community service role. I knew that the job hunt would be emotionally and mentally taxing, and I really prepared myself for that. Cue my second big girl job in the nonprofit industry, known for working employees to the bone for, again, peanuts. This time with a clear title, yet still the expectation to do a little bit of everything. Then there were the conversations of, I know you're working full-time hours, but we just can't afford to give you benefits. But hey, we're giving you extra shifts, so that's great. Again, making you feel fortunate for the little that you're given. But hey, at least this time it was towards a good cause, right? My colleagues were amazing, but my direct supervisor was quite passive-aggressive. And again, I felt like I was walking on eggshells. Every time I think about re-entering the workforce, I just get so scared I'll have to put up with all these things again. And I know it's the name of the game of finding a job. I know you're lucky if you find a place where you're appreciated, but honestly, that should be the standard for all the companies out there, because I feel like these workplaces really did a number on me, and I've been a bit scattered in my job hunt. I'm afraid to commit to a full-time job. I would much rather, at this point in time, work 2 part-time jobs than 1 full-time job, just because I'm afraid of investing so much time, effort, and energy into a place that will sort of treat me like crap. So, to get out of the nonprofit situation, I went to South Korea to teach English. This time, I had a job lined up. I've been through this a billion times, so I'll spare you the story. You can watch this video if you want to hear about it. Again, the pay was pretty low for the amount of work that was expected, but over time, it got easier once I started to find my footing and build a roster of lesson plans. And we were provided an apartment to live in. So that was my first time living on my own, and it was such a fun experience. I grew a lot professionally and personally. And with this wild experience of living and working abroad, I naively thought the job hunt wouldn't be as bad this time around. And boy, was I wrong. It's funny that after a couple years of growth and adventure, how I just reverted back to my old self. Like, I was very confident in the skills and abilities that I came back with after living and working in Korea. But all of that went out the window while trying to find a job after I got back. It's been a bit of a struggle to keep my head above water. I haven't felt this level of anxiety in a very long time. And I don't use that word, anxiety. I don't use it often. I think it's very overused, so I try to avoid it. But that's the only thing that can really capture how I'm feeling right now. I really thought that finding work would be easier than it's been in the past, just because I thought that I was a lot stronger after all my experiences. And I am. But again, the job hunt has a way of consuming your mind and bringing all these negative thoughts to the forefront, especially if you don't hear back from anyone. I know that complaining about the state of the job market is something that's just ever present, but I don't know, maybe it's the combination of new technology taking over jobs, companies outsourcing for cheaper labor, and also removing the human aspect of the application review process. All of this just makes it all feel hopeless in a dystopian sort of way. I honestly miss the days where you can just walk into a place and drop off your resume. Granted, when I was at the age where I was old enough to work, online applications were very much alive and real, but I got to experience this at local shops and at the mall. It was really nerve-wracking to have to present yourself in person, but it was also really nice to show up as a person first rather than a PDF file. But, I guess this is just where we're headed, a dystopian future. When I do find a job, one that shows me a level of respect that's been lacking in some of my previous experience, I'll definitely hold it near and dear. In the past, I've always assumed I'd be okay. I think it comes with being younger and more carefree. I didn't mind quitting my job without having something lined up. I had confidence in myself and in the world that something would come along. And although that nonprofit job wasn't the best, there were elements of it that I really needed at the time. It made me realize that I enjoy serving the community in some capacity, but it also made me realize where my boundaries are when it comes to my work environment. As I get older, taking risks is becoming a bit scarier. I'm 28 years old and I have no clear career trajectory. And the worst part is, once I find my footing in a company, I know that I'll want to make another big move. Stability and predictability are wonderful for many reasons, but sometimes I just need to make a splash. I need a job that feels like it has purpose, something in a dynamic environment that's constantly changing. The truth is, I bore easily, and I wish I didn't. But my very first experience working out in the real world, quote unquote, made me really see that as a worker at a for-profit company, you really are just a number. You are replaceable. And again, it's made me afraid to commit. It's made me get into the habit of, although the job hunt is difficult and scary, I've always been able to find something after. So after a couple years pass, I have a feeling I might try to find something else, because I really believe that my commitment issues to a workplace stems from some not so great experiences. And I don't know how to navigate trusting in a workplace again. Moving to Spain is still very much in the cards. I'm not sure if I mentioned this in a past video, but I was actually supposed to do 2 years in South Korea and go straight from South Korea to teaching English in Spain. It's been my dream to live and work there. I love the Spanish language. I love the dances, the culture. I think it would be such a great fit. My dad is from Latin America, so I feel like there's that cultural connection there as well. But unfortunately, it got really complicated with applying for a visa while in Korea and trying to get all the paperwork from Canada. It was just too much. So I had to shelve that. And I decided, since I'm home now, I might as well try to build a profession in something, or at least get some clarity in what direction I want to move in. And then once I figure that out in a couple years, then I can pack up again and move to Spain. And who knows, maybe stay there for a long while. More than 2 years, perhaps. In the meantime, I'll keep trying to figure out what exactly I want to do. I'll keep sending out applications, and I'll do my best to keep my standards where they are and not drop them. I did write that blog post when I was feeling really stressed out with the job hunt, but I do have an interview lined up tomorrow, so fingers crossed it goes well. I get really nervous during interviews. I'm fine presenting in front of people. I don't get too stressed out about that, or dealing with really angry customers. I'm fine. But when it comes to having someone sit in front of you and judge you, and there's so much on the line, that just stresses me out so much. I end up shaking, I end up being incoherent. It just gets messy. So I really have to work on that, because at the end of the day, interviewing is a skill and I have to be confident in myself. Easier said than done. Especially as a visible minority. Statistically speaking, we're less likely to put ourselves out there for work where we don't meet every single one of the qualifications, whereas someone from a different group might just go for it. So even though in my head I know that I am a great catch, I'm a great worker, I have a wonderful personality. I mean, debatable, but in a workplace, I can play the part. I just say that because I'm super introverted. So not many people get to see my personality. I like to keep it hidden, but I could be social in a workplace. Even though I know I have so much going for me, and I can tell myself that over and over again, when it comes to actually applying to these jobs, my confidence just goes down, down, down. And I really need to figure out a way to uplift myself, because I know I have a lot to offer. But when you're sitting there in front of an interviewer, it just kind of all goes out the window. Let me know if you can relate. Is this just a me thing? Let me know. This video is definitely self-indulgent. I really just needed to vent, so I really appreciate you guys for listening. For those of you who can relate, keep your head up. It's tough out here, but we are in this together. Believe in yourself, know your worth, and if anyone has words of wisdom, I'd really appreciate it if you send a message down in the comments. I could really use the pep talk right now, or I don't know, any insight into cool jobs that you know of that would fit my criteria, being towards some kind of uplifting purpose, but also being super dynamic, but compensating well. Is that too much to ask? Maybe I'm asking for too much. There's a lot that I liked about working in a nonprofit space, being able to wear so many different hats and knowing that you're working towards a good cause. But being paid peanuts, that really started to get to me. I just wanted a space that understood what value I brought to the table, and I was just not feeling that there. So it started to wear away at me and I became resentful, and I really don't want to feel that way. Anyways, I'm oversharing. I need to stop talking. But yeah, any words of wisdom, please post them down below. And lastly, I'm going to say this until I'm back into the YouTube Partner Program. I need to reach a watch time threshold of 400 more hours, which might not sound like a lot, but it is a lot. So please put on one of my playlists while you're drawing, cooking, cleaning, etc. Let me keep you company. Like, subscribe, comment, you know the drill. And until next time, just keep your head up. Peace.